And there she blows. Hard off, hobby off. This is just like a, well, first of all, welcome back to Retro ReWire. My name is JJ. Here we are with another In the Hunt, and we are in Osaka. And this is going to be in Kishiwada, which is about, it was about an hour from the city center, you know, where I'm staying. And as you can see, it's super quiet. And there's definitely not going to be, the tourist hustle and bustle is not going to be out here. I think this is going to be more, at least for the little bit more hardcore crowd, especially to come out here. But yeah, and honestly, guys, I just went on Google Maps. I looked at a few possible locations to film at. This one kind of had like an interesting looking building, and I do like these combo off stores because they usually have a great deal, at least a variety in their stock. And as you will see, I think that held true. But anyhow, let's go inside and check things out. And right away, I decided to start off in the junk section. The junk section is really a good indicator on how this store is going to be. And I have to admit, in regard to like their stock, it didn't really disappoint. But right away, we have this Game Boy Pocket. Now, this is the first iteration that doesn't have like the little battery indicator light. And then we have the data recorder for the Famicom. Look at this thing. Now, I've never messed around with that, but if that plays like regular cassette tapes, that thing would be pretty cool to have in the collection. And then this wireless multi-shot too. That kind of caught my attention. And I would have got that, but I have the Konami wireless controller for the Super Famicom, and it's also compatible with the Famicom. So I'm definitely good with wireless controller options. But an assortment of handhelds. There's a Switch Lite back there that was coming in at 9,000 yen. It had some issues with its analog sticks. And then here we have the Wonder Swan. And a lot of these are not going to be powering on, but if you're savvy with that, it should be a fairly easy fix. And there's another Wonder Swan color there. And that one also had like a power issue. But according to the little ticket, the little label there, it's pretty good condition. But then here we have Castlevania for the MSX. And the box to this is actually in fairly good shape. Now, I'm a hardcore Castlevania freak, so that definitely caught my attention. And there was a little bit of a temptation there, but I don't have an MSX. I don't plan to get one, so let's just keep it moving here. And look at all this. Look at all these AV receivers and just an assortment of all these audio electronics. Look at that. Always love seeing stuff like that. But this can be a dangerous aisle. I'm telling you, if you're into this stuff, a lot of this stuff is going to be like 500 yen and onwards. But it's so bulky. But here we have the Twin Famicom. Now, this is the second iteration with the turbo functionality coming in at 11,000. Up in, what's it called? Here's a Sega Pico. They had two of them, as a matter of fact. But going back to that Twin Famicom, the lowest that I've seen that particular model was at 7,000 yen. And then just a whole load of PlayStation 3 fats. Look at that. And within those ranks, within those stacks, there was a few launch models. And then here we have, I forget the name, Tururu-kun, something like that. This is like an action-adventure game. Somebody left it there, but it definitely does not belong in the junk section. Here's this PC Engine. Look at that, 19,000. Definitely a pricey one. And the reason it's here is just because it's untested. And I don't know the condition of the actual body because they had the little security tag in there. But, man, that one, if that was like way, way, way cheaper, I would have got that, of course. But look at this. This is the launch model, a 20 gig version. And that thing is a thing of beauty. And that's currently, this particular model is what is my main PS3 at the moment. Now, it does lack like little Wi-Fi functionality. But apart from that, and I guess like the memory card readers. But apart from that, it's pretty much the same. And I guess it's all black matte finish. But there's a Dreamcast back there for 3,000 yen, just kind of hidden back there. And that's one thing you want to do. When you're in the junk section, remember, these shelves have a little bit of depth to them, so check behind there because sometimes there's some decent stuff. And then this is the PS3 Super Slim. This is the Metal Gear Revengeance Edition with All Right in there. So that was kind of surprising to see. It was a little bit in rough shape. And honestly, like, I'm not really a big fan of that color scheme, but I am a fan of the game. And there's that PC Engine again. Now here, look at this. I was a little bit surprised to see this 22,000, and this is gonna be like the smoke black version. Now apparently this one does power on, but it's not reading any game discs, which is such a shame. Now it's a little bit dirty, but I did wipe that off. But man, I really would like. I would love something like this in the collection. And guys, again, this is just gonna be rough and raw, no edits, just a one take wonder. So I'm just kind of manhandling this Xbox here just so you guys can get a better view of it. But man, I guess I don't really need it. But and look at this, the manufacturing date is 2002 November 20th. It's super pricey, but it is a beautiful thing. I am a huge fan of the original Xbox as well as the Xbox One. I'm not really hardcore on the what's it called, the Xbox 360. I do respect it, but my preference is always going to be PlayStation 3 in that regard. And look at all these PlayStation 2s, so many, and it's going to be all sorts of prices. Now in Saitama, you could definitely, in the hard offs out there, you could still find like these PS2, these fat versions for as low as like 1,000 yen, sometimes even 500 yen. Here we have a super slim for, what was that, 8,000, 9,000 in the box. Yeah, 8,000 yen. And pretty good deals on the PS1s, the boxed ones. You know, 2,000 there. And then here's another boxed Xbox. And this is what I currently have. I found one in the box for like 3,000 yen. And then I ended up finding another one for 2,000 yen, but it was just loose. And then we got some racing wheels. And see, this is what I mean. Check back there because there's all sorts of stuff. And this one's coming in at 2,750. And then this one is coming in at 880 after once you apply the sales tax there. Now, I'm speaking of sales tax, I am not sure if this location is a tax-free location. Typically, the ones that are a little bit of a ways from the touristy centers are not, but it all varies. And then they had another aisle of gaming goodness here, and I didn't really find anything that I really wanted. There was a few temptations like this orange spice cube, and this one was coming in at 3,000 yen, 3,300 after the sales tax. And I kind of wanted it, but I recently, well, not recently, but like a year ago, I sold my orange spice in favor of the indigo because I found an indigo at a hard off out in what was it, Tochigi, I believe, and I paid 100 yen for it, and that thing works beautifully. It's so quiet. And because just to commemorate that amazing find, especially in this day and age, I sold the orange spice in favor of that indigo. Here we have a PSP, and it's 1650, but it's having some issues there with its analog stick. And what else do we have here? We got a DS Lite, and they had a whole assortment of like Nintendo handhelds here. And I think a few of these, they are going to have like yellowed screens. They might not power on, or the hinge might be broken. Just all sorts of issues there. But I remember these things would like be piled up in the junk section, and a lot of them were in excellent condition. Some of them would even be in the box. But I think the average price for something in the box is going to be upwards more of like 4,000 yen. And then here's another PS2 fat just kind of tucked away back there. I was thinking that was like a translucent blue one, but when I pulled it out, it was just your old standard black one. And then this is a pretty good deal here. 300 yen before sales tax for this Wiimote. And look at that. Oh, that's the Guitar Hero World Tour. That's a North American version. I just noticed that. But we have a whole bunch of Wii U's and Wii's. Now, the disc system, the one that's not priced there is actually 5,000 yen before sales tax. And they had quite a few of them, as well as a couple of Famicoms, a few Super Famicoms, just all sorts of pricing on this stuff. I recently picked up a Super Famicom in the box, non-yellowed, and that thing I paid $27.50 at Treasure Factory. So Treasure Factory, that's definitely a place that I've covered on my Instagram, and definitely keep a lookout for them. They typically have a really tiny section of game-related stuff, but sometimes you find some deals in there. And then just a bunch of loose cards. I looked through a few of these bins, and after I stopped the camera, I went back to have a closer look, but there wasn't really anything that was of particular interest. But I do like looking through this stuff because sometimes you might find like SCART cables here, like official ones, and that's really the thing that stuff like that is kind of what I'm after. As well as controllers. Sometimes you find some pretty good controllers, but just a whole bunch of loose stuff. And you know, with regard to their the software that's in the junk section, it was definitely, it's getting a little bit more rough. You know, as the years pass, you know, the games that end up in the junk section, it's not just because of perhaps the quality, but it's actually the actual condition. And we're going to take a look at a few discs here so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So here we have a Ridge Racer Type 4, and we're going to see what it's missing and the condition of it. Now, it is 110 yen, so it has both discs. It doesn't have any kind of documentation like the manual, but I'm going to pull out the disc, and as you can see, it is a bit scratched up. Now, that's definitely going to work. It's going to load, but you know, typically before you would find a game like this for that same price, but it was just like more in immaculate condition. But that still varies, you know. Here we have a copy of Biohazard, but it's actually Ridge Racer Revolution. No slipcover or manual. So as you can see, a lot of the stuff here is getting closer to the true junk status. And then here we have Biohazard 2. We'll take a look at this one. And as you can see, it's just the Leon disc, disc 1, and nothing else. But that game, honestly, you could still find for like about 110 yen complete, even with like the little memory card stickers. But they did have like a chunky stock of you know, software here, and a lot of this, all of this is like 110 yen, which isn't bad. And then next to that, there's a few more games mixed amongst some DVDs. But overall, not too bad of a little section there. And it's probably a good place to get like those first part or the Capcom titles for PlayStation 2. Typically, like, you know, like your Devil May Cry's, your Onimushas, all that stuff is typically there. But let's keep making our way here. And then I saw this little boombox. Let's have a closer look. Look at this bad boy. I wonder what the issue there is. I didn't really stick to it too long. But something like that thing would be cool. I bet you it has an auxiliary input, which is essential. But this is going to be like the main game aisle here. We got some PS1s. And then this PS2 Slim, it had like a whole screen attached to it. Look at the price on this bad boy. I wonder what kind of screen is that. I believe Intech, I could be getting that wrong, but I believe they produced one for the PS2. And then we have another limited edition Xbox. But we'll take a look at that after we kind of plow through this aisle. But we have some PS1s. Again, look at the price on those things. That's not too bad. 8,000 yen before sales tax for the PS1. Now, I did pick one of those up for about 4,000, but they're definitely on the rise, just like these PS2 Slims. Now, these prices that you see here, I think that's going to be standard across Kansai and Kanto, like the Tokyo area, Osaka area. It's pretty much going to be, it's pretty much in line. And that last one that I showed was a 90,000 model, which is my favorite one. And then we have a pink PS3 Slim. Now this one I don't see all that often, especially in the box there. So that was kind of a cool little find. Then we got the PS5 Digital Edition. Oh, they have a Pro. I totally overlooked that. But they had a PS5 Pro. Wow. What do y'all think about that? I kind of want a PS5 Pro, but I definitely don't need it, and I don't play enough PS5 to justify that. But look at all this PlayStation hardware. It's always cool to see all this Sony PlayStation stuff. Now the other aisle is going to have like the Nintendo and the other platforms. But look at all this stuff. It's always good to come into a shop that has like a, you know, and I'm just purely talking about like stock levels. Now amongst the little peg hooks here, I found like the Game Boy Advance charger for the original Game Boy Advance, and I picked that up. Here we have a Game Boy Pocket. And that's going to be 22,000. And again, this is going to be that first iteration without the little battery light. And then we have a few Pikachu consoles or Pokemons. Now the other one in the back, that color is going to be the same price as the Advance. It was a little bit hard to film that, but after I was done filming, I confirmed that price. And then they had a Game Boy Micro back there, which is at 77,000. And I believe that's another Pokemon one. And then here's the limited edition Xbox 33. Man, that's really tempting for me. It is expensive. Now we have the Neo Geo. Now look at that price. That's definitely lower by about, I want to say 30,000 compared to what I saw, and maybe you guys even saw it in my previous 2 videos of the Surugayas in the trendy parts of Osaka. But 88,000 for that AES. And then here we have the Game Boy Color, that 16,500 price. That's very that's becoming like standard across the board as well. Then we had that Hello Kitty version next to that Pokemon one. We got some Game Boy Advance SPs, and a lot of these prices, just I guess in today's day and age, that's pretty much just like the standard price. That's what's becoming now. You can find them for less, but usually they're like going to be like in the junk status, and some stores may have these units at a far lower price, but those are definitely rarer to find. But here we have a Neo Geo Pocket, and I believe that's was that the color or the first edition? I can't remember. The monochrome edition, which I kind of want one of those monochrome Neo Geo Pockets. But we have Spawn for the Dreamcast. It's kind of like a little Unreal style type of game. And then a whole bunch of mini consoles. I think I'm good with my mini collection at the moment. I only have the Sega Drive Mini 2, the little Neo Geo Mini, and the Astro City Mini. Here we have Dr. Mario, Super Game Boy, and more mini consoles. The Neo Geo Mini there at 8,000 yen. Here we have a Dreamcast, and they actually had 2. And this one, the one that I'm pulling out, is actually at a lower price because I think it might be missing a few things. But there you go, 8,000 yen before sales tax. And that's not actually too bad of a price there. What else do we have here? We got some Xbox stuff. Now this is an Xbox One, the first iteration of it, and that's a 1 terabyte model. What else do we have? Oh, here, this is going to be the Dreamcast karaoke little add-on attachment for 17,000 yen. I've actually seen that at other locations for like about 10,000. But definitely a little bit rare. And then we have some more Sega Dreamcast. So as you can see, the variety of hardware here isn't. They got a little bit of everything. I think the only thing that was really missing was some of the older Sega and PC Engine hardware. But here we have more handhelds, and as you can see, this is going to be like the new standard here. Now at this location, I think I was the only foreigner out here. This is definitely something that the locals are hitting up. But I imagine that there's a few people coming in from the outside coming out here. But look at this clear black what is that, a Nintendo 3DS? I've never seen that. At least I don't think I have. And I'm not sure what this is. This is a Nintendo a 3DS XL. Kind of a funky cover there. And then we have the new 3DS for 35,200 yen. But all sorts of little stuff here. We got some Switch Lights and Switch. Well, mostly just Switch. The standard version. We got some cubes, N64s. Now, with the Wii U, you should definitely, if that's what you're after, I would also recommend checking a few of the Geo shops. Because sometimes they have those complete in the box and they're like 2,000 yen. They're just trying to get them. They're trying to get them out of there. We got some Pokemon. It seems a lot of places are, having dedicated Pokemon stuff in the showcase. And I'm not sure why that Super Mario Bros. Is at that price, because they did have another copy at a far, far lower price, which I will be posting on my Insta account. But here we got the Sony handhelds. We got the PSP Go, which is what I currently brought with me to Osaka. And then we have PlayStation Vitas, Sony PSP, just all sorts of stuff. Look at that. And 16,000 seems to be the average price for a Vita without the box. So that's like a new medium price there. And then let's take a look at the Switch stuff. But I'm going to be honest, like for current gen stuff, I really recommend going to like a Book Off, Furuichi, and Gale, because they're going to have like a far, far lower price. And yeah, let's see, Metroid Prime here for 3,000 yen. That's almost about the price for the game new, depending on where you're shopping. And then we have this new Puzzle Bobble, every bubble, every bobble, something like that. No Straight Roads. Never heard of that one. Kind of an interesting cover. And then this one here, I forget the name of that, and I haven't. I featured it on a video, but anyhow. Now, the reason why I was looking in this section, because I want a copy of what was it? The Neo Geo Pocket Color Selection, Volume 1. Now, that game, as well as Volume 2, I believe in Japan anyway, it's out of print, and it's seeing a rise. And I kind of just want that because it's going to be a lot less expensive than buying, you know, like the actual Neo Geo Pocket Color games. Might as well just get it in the collection and call it good. But check this out. Dragon Dogma 2 coming in at $49.50. Now at Gale, it's about 2,500 yen. And if there's a sale, it could be possibly lower. And here we have Octopath Traveler. They had another copy of Dogma, and that's going to be less. So even if you are coming here and you decide to get like some of these newer games, check all the copies, because they might have different pricing across all the copies that they have. But definitely a healthy stock here. Look at all this stuff. We got the Metal Gear Solid, the Legacy Collection. I want to get the Master Collection on the PS5. But we have Eco, and then we have KOF 12. And this is also now available on the Switch as well as the PlayStation 4. And then we have Shadow there for $880. And then Dead Rising 3, the North American version, which is quite common in Japan. Maybe that game has a little bit of a following in Japan, because I see that game all the time. But we have Mega Man X Command Mission for the GameCube. This is not one that I see all that often, but definitely not crazy expensive. And then we have this. Gosh, I'm drawing a blank. It's a fighting game. I used to have this too. But anyhow, I wonder if this one is going to be in the Capcom Fighting collection. I hope it is. The name is escaping me for some weird reason. But anyhow, let's keep the show moving. Let's see, what do we have here? We have Biohazard 2, the Value Plus. Now, $16.50, that's not a bad price at all. They had another copy, or they have Code Veronica for 500 yen. So some of the pricing here on some of these games is definitely not bad. Virtua Fighter 3 was at 2,000 yen. That one, you could find within the city for far, far less. So I guess it's just going to vary. And the Sega Saturn collection, at least within the stacks, nothing really noteworthy, and a little bit slim. And then we have R-Type 2 for 3,000 yen. That's probably the lowest that I've seen this game in a long, long time. Now the manual itself was the corner was a little bit bent. And then we have Legendary Axe for 4,000 yen. And that's not a bad price, I want to say. That game is kind of like, depending on where you go, it's going to be a little bit on the rise. And what else do we have here? Some Beach Volley for $16.50. I wonder how that game is. Now this is definitely one that I want. Double Steel, the Second Clash. 13,200 yen. Now, I like the first one, which I believe in North America, it was just the first one that was released, and it was like under like the Yakuza missions or something like that. But we have Sonic Spinball here. I paid a lot less, and unfortunately, that particular copy is sun faded. And a nice little selection here of Xbox titles, which we have KOF Maximum Impact. If this was lower, I would have picked that up, but a little bit more than I'm willing to pay. What is that? Matt Hazard, Eat, Let, and Die. And then we have Blue Dragon. So pretty cool, I guess. At least they have some Xbox games. Most places will have even less, and it's just going to be like what you would expect to find, like the Halo type stuff. Which the Halo games, I've been playing the Master Chief Collection, going through replaying Part 1. Having a great time doing that. And then we have Left 4 Dead 2 for 5,000 yen. And then this is going to be 1650, the Bayonetta bundle there for the old Wii U. And then we have some Wii titles. We'll show one out of respect to the Wii. So we have the Kirby 20th Anniversary Collection for $27.50. It is, that one is missing the slipcover. And then a small showing of N64 titles. And as you can see, a lot of it is going to be like multiple copies of the same game. Now we're going to take a look at all of these to see if the pricing differs, but they're all going to be coming in at 22. Look at that. And that's actually not a bad price for that game, because if you go, if you're going to a place like Super Potato, you can definitely expect to be paying more, upwards of like 5,000 or possibly even more. Choto Q, that wasn't a bad price for that. And then we have Mickey's Something USA Racing. That game's actually a little bit hard. I do like some Disney stuff, but that game is freaking hard. And then we have F-Zero X for $38.50. But yeah, good old N64. Let's just keep making our way here. What do we have up? Oh, I was about to leave the aisle, and then I noticed like this Biohazard anniversary package for the PlayStation 3. Now, something I am a huge fan of, Resident Evil, Biohazard, and collecting for it, but something like that, I definitely I don't need it. So let's just let's see, what do we have here? A bunch of controllers, a few GameCube controllers, which GameCube controllers are always popular. $27.50. Now I will be showing a book off that's kind of like in the inner city, and you will see how the prices compare. $27.50, $16.50 around here. But anyhow, PlayStation 2. Now this Seaman edition of the game, I've seen this before, but it must be some kind of like I don't know much about this particular version, because the PlayStation 2, as well as the Dreamcast, they got multiple versions of the game. It's actually kind of surprising. We have Shining Tears. I wonder how that one is. I believe that one got a North American release. And then we got Shadow Hearts. And pretty much what I was looking for here was like the shooting games, like R-Type Final, Thunder Force 6. But unfortunately, they didn't have anything like that. I actually went back to this section after filming, and I want to say the PS2 selection was overall pretty, at least in the stacks here, because I definitely looked through there. It was small and a little bit disappointing, and the same the same thing applies to like the PS1. But they had a lot of like the common stuff. Here we have a copy of X3 for $27.50. Rampo, this is for the Sega Saturn. This is kind of like a FMV type of game. I wonder if that's any good. Let's see here. We have Tomb Raider Chronicles Part 5. And then we had a copy of Tekken 2 coming in at 300 yen before sales tax. It's actually not too bad. And what else do we have? Parasite Eve. And Parasite Eve, certain parts of the game, if I remember correctly, are in English, but for the most part, all menus are going to be in Japanese. Which I do have Parasite Eve for. I have a North American copy of the game, but I haven't really delved too much into the game. I should definitely give it some time there to play it. But anyhow, Super Famicom. What do we have here? Super Adventure Island coming in at $38.50. After that sales tax, and then we have some Goemon, 5,000 yen or 5,500 yen after sales tax. So, I don't know. What do you guys think of these prices here? It's definitely going to be far lower than the Surugaya out in Umeda and Denden Town. 800 yen for Super Street Fighter 2. That's actually a really good price, and the condition of that particular copy was fairly good. What else do we have here? Now, I think for the Super Famicom, anything I'm going to want is definitely going to be behind the glass, but I'm definitely going to take a look through the stacks here. $16.50 for special. And what else? This is a new one for me, that Ranma puzzle game. I've never seen that one before. Ranma 1/2. I do like the fighting games for the Super Famicom. They're a bit quirky. And one of them, actually got released in the States. But here we have Donkey Kong Land for 500 yen. Now, I had that one in my hand. It felt a little bit light, so it was definitely missing either the game or, like the manual. Because they did have another copy of the game, and that other copy was upwards of 3,000 yen. But here we have some of the disk system games. They had quite a few of them, but they were all incomplete in some way. So I wasn't definitely gonna be messing with that, because the disk system games, that's something that I do want in a more complete state. Let's just keep making our way. Look at all those loose cards. But let's go to the showcase here. What do they got? Just all sorts of stuff. What do we have here? For the Game Boy, we have a Castlevania there. And I believe that one was 7,000 before sales tax. It was a bit hard to see. We have DuckTales 2. That one's a pricey one. But the condition of that doesn't look all that bad. Then we have, what is it? Super Ghouls and Ghosts back there. We have Nom here. This one is a little bit uncommon. And just for the cart alone, you saw that price. My goodness. But here we have some AES titles. Now, one of those, the King of Fighters 15, I think that's just a limited edition. That could be a PlayStation 4 release. And then they had Art of Fighting 3. And that's going to be 100,000 yen. Oh, man. And that's still lower than that's probably like the lowest price that I've seen for the game in Osaka, at least during this particular trip. And then we have Super Metroid. But before that, we have Dracula XX for 24,000. But there you go. Super Metroid, 8,000 yen before sales tax. And in Surugaya, they have it for 19,000. And that's quite the difference. And we have Vulcan there for 8,000 yen. But they had some decent titles there. And they also had a copy that right front and center. That's going to be Castlevania Legends for the old Game Boy for 24,000. And then they had some more Goemon, Rockman Soccer, another copy of Super Adventure Island. But overall, pricing aside, in regard to the stock levels, it's actually it's pretty impressive. I mean, look at all this stuff. And I shut off the camera. I had a closer look, and there was definitely a few things that caught my eye. But anyhow, guys, we're gonna continue with more videos. I think that's gonna be it for this particular location. This is in Kishiwada, Osaka. Definitely hit them up if you have the chance. But anyhow, my name is JJ, and I will see you all very, very soon.